R2. You can see this one. Yes. We have discussed one of this example in last lecture also, that is university database. See in this case. Now see this diagram. In this diagram we have discussed that is there are relations between different type of entities or different type of relations. A similar diagram you can see here. You can see this is just a company database in which you can see there are these 6 tables: employee table, department table, department locations, project, work zone and dependent. Now you can see here there are some arrows from one table to another table with a particular direction. Now you can see here this project relation, this work zone relation, this employee relation. If you see these 3 relations, employee, project and work zone. Now you can see here in work zone how many attributes are there? Yes. In work zone 3 attributes. Which attributes? Employee, SSN number, project number and hours. Then that means a particular employee works for a particular project for so many number of hours. Now see, if I say a particular employee having employee number E12 works on project P3 for number of hours 5, but P3 information does not exist in this table, then this entry is correct or not?
Not correct.
Not correct.
Not correct. Because an employee can work on a project if the corresponding project information is present in the project table. That is P3, project P3, what is the name of the project, what is the location of the project and of which department this project belongs. To which department this project belongs. So then that means now this relation, this table is the referencing relation. आप यही पूछ रहे थे ना, जिस टेब ये यहाँ पे अब प्रोजेक्ट नंबर जो होगा वो फॉरेन की होगा एंड यहाँ पे जो प्रोजेक्ट नंबर है ये क्या है? प्राइमरी की. So you can say this is the referencing relation and this is the referenced relation. Similarly, you can see here, if employee 12 does not exist in this employee table, then again this information is incorrect information.
Yes.
So you can say now this employee SSN number is a foreign key in this relation and it should work as a primary key in some other relation. So you can see here ESSN. ESSN is just belong to this SSN number. So यहाँ पे you can see here that is how many arrows are there. There are 4 arrows. Then that means SSN number is a primary key in the employee relation, but it is actually a foreign key in 4 tables. You can say in the department table it is a foreign key. Then you can see in the work zone table it is a foreign key. then you can say in the dependent table it is a foreign key, right? So you can see this one, even it acts as a foreign key in its own table also, right?
Yes, ma'am.
What is the concept of a foreign key in its own table? Can do you have any idea from this particular employee table, employee schema, super SSN?
यस सर, यस मैम, अगर सुपर एसेसन में है तो वो एसेसन में होगा ही, तो उसको चेक करने के लिए।
हाँ, जैसे मैं पर्टिकुलर बताऊं, जैसे इन ए पर्टिकुलर डिपार्टमेंट faculty is under the control of a head of department. So now which faculty is under the control of which head of department? Again, head of department is an employee.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So you can say head of the department will have a particular SSN number. Now which
Yes,
faculty, if there are 10 faculties under this SSN number, under this head of the department, then that means now in these 10 faculties, E1 to E10, if the head of the department is having just employee security number as the H1, then here you can say this will have H1 entry. But this H1 entry should again exist in the employee table, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So I think now the concept of referencing relation and referenced relation is clear to you.
Yes, ma'am.
यस मैम।
So
मैम फॉरेन
you-
की रेफरेंस रिलेशन में हमेशा प्राइमरी की होगी।
yeah, you can see even this slide. जो आपका रेफरेंस्ड रिलेशन है ना, वहां पे वो प्राइमरी की होगी. यू कैन सी दिस वन, स्टेटमेंट ऑफ द फॉरेन की कांस्टेंट, द वैल्यू इन द फॉरेन की कॉलम of the referencing relation R1 can be either a value of an existing primary key of a corresponding primary key pk in the referenced relation, or a null value, right?
मैम ये नल वैल्यू वाली चीज नहीं समझ रही, नल वैल्यू कैसे?
अब नल वैल्यू का भी कंसेप्ट आपको बता देती हूँ. जैसे मैं आपको ये कहूँ, यही एग्जांपल लेते हैं हम, कि अगर कोई भी पर्टिकुलर एम्प्लॉय है, उसका अभी सुपर एसएसएन नंबर नहीं है, वो अभी किसी भी हेड ऑफ द डिपार्टमेंट के अंडर नहीं है, एम्प्लॉय ने न्यू ज्वाइन किया है, तो उसमें इसकी वैल्यू क्या होगी? नल होगी कि नहीं होगी? फॉरेन की एट्रीब्यूट की वैल्यू नल हो सकती है, बट प्राइमरी की एट्रीब्यूट की वैल्यू नल नहीं हो सकती, राइट?
ओके मैम।
जैसे इस पर्टिकुलर केस में अगर हम ये कहें किसी डिपार्टमेंट को कोई अभी डिपार्टमेंट असाइन ही नहीं है, कोई प्रोजेक्ट है आपके पास जहाँ पे डिपार्टमेंट नंबर जो है वो एज ए फॉरेन की है ना, यू कैन सी यहाँ पे. अब देखो यहाँ पे ये एरो से आपको एक चीज क्लियर होगी, जहाँ पे ये एरो की डायरेक्शन है, दैट मीन्स इस रिलेशन में वो एज ए प्राइमरी की है, बट यहाँ से ये एज ए फॉरेन की है, जहां से एरो शुरू हो रहा है. तो देन दैट मीन यहाँ पे जो डिपार्टमेंट नंबर है वो क्या है? फॉरेन की.
यस मैम।
यस मैम।
तो अभी कोई प्रोजेक्ट है, वो प्रोजेक्ट किसी डिपार्टमेंट के अंडर नहीं है, तो वहां पे डिपार्टमेंट नंबर की वैल्यू क्या होगी?
नल।
नल. बट यहाँ पे डिपार्टमेंट नंबर नल नहीं हो सकता, कि यहाँ पे प्राइमरी की है वहां पे नल नहीं हो सकता, बट यहाँ पे फॉरेन की है वहां पे उस एट्रीब्यूट की वैल्यू नल हो सकती है, राइट?
ओके मैम।
यस मैम।
सो यू कैन सी हियर वैल्यू इन द फॉरेन की कॉलम, कि जो वैल्यू है फॉरेन की कॉलम में वो क्या क्या वैल्यू हो सकती है? जो तो रेफरेंस्ड रिलेशन है उसमें जो प्राइमरी की वैल्यू है या तो वो होगी या फिर नल होगी. कि इसमें हम ये नहीं कह सकते कि कोई वैल्यू इसमें इस तरह से एग्जिस्ट करती हो जो इसमें भी नहीं है और नल भी नहीं है, जैसे मैंने यहाँ पे आपको बताया था कि प्रोजेक्ट P3 तभी होगा अगर P3 यहाँ पे एग्जिस्ट करता है। अगर P3 यहाँ पे एग्जिस्ट नहीं करता तो इस रिलेशन में ये वैल्यू हो ही नहीं सकती। या तो वो वैल्यू होगी जो इसमें कोई भी प्राइमरी की एट्रीब्यूट की है, या फिर इसकी वैल्यू क्या होगी, नल होगी, राइट?
Yes, ma'am.
So you can see now this thing. In case 2, a foreign key in R1 should not be a part of its own primary key. तो अगर यहाँ पे नल है तो यहाँ पे ये प्राइमरी की का एट्रीब्यूट नहीं होना चाहिए। जैसे मैं अगर पर्टिकुलर, एक मिनट, जस्ट 1 सेकेंड, इसमें जैसे अगर मैं पर्टिकुलर इस केस में कहूं वर्क्स ऑन रिलेशन में प्राइमरी की क्या है, यस अगर आप इसको पर्टिकुलरली नोट करो तो वर्क्स ऑन रिलेशन में प्राइमरी की क्या है,
SSN plus project number.
ESSN प्लस प्रोजेक्ट नंबर। तो अब क्योंकि ये जहां पे भी इन दोनों का कॉम्बिनेशन प्राइमरी की है ना, तो इसलिए ये नल नहीं हो सकती। बट अगर यहाँ पे ये प्राइमरी की का पार्ट नहीं होता, सिर्फ फॉरेन की का पार्ट होता, तो ये नल हो सकती थी, राइट? जैसे यहाँ पे
Yes,
है,
ma'am.
अब जैसे यहाँ पे है डिपार्टमेंट नंबर, अब ये जस्ट फॉरेन की है, प्राइमरी की का पार्ट नहीं है, तो यहाँ पे ये नल हो सकती है, राइट?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, concept of primary key, foreign key and domain integrity constraints is clear to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay. So you can see here each relation schema can be displayed as a row of attribute name. The name of the relation is written above the attribute name. The primary key will be underlined. A foreign key constraint is displayed as a directed arc from the foreign key attribute to the referenced table. Can also point the primary key of the referenced relation for clarity. So this is the way how to just describe your relational database schema. I think now what is the meaning of all these arrows? I think you can now understand this particular schema diagram for the university database. Yes, can you understand what is the meaning of all these arrows and what is the meaning of all these rectangles?
Yes, ma'am. मैम टाइम स्लॉट में डबल एरो है, वो मिसप्रिंटिंग है या फिर वो भी कुछ होता है रिप्रेजेंटेशन?
नहीं नहीं, ये सिंगल एरो ही है टाइम। जैसे पर्टिकुलरली यहाँ पे अगर आप देखो तो ये पर्टिकुलर डिपार्टमेंट नेम यू कैन सी हियर, that is this department name, this foreign key is also there, foreign key is also there, foreign key is also there, and in particular department relation it is a primary key, and in other three relations it is a foreign key, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So this is all about integrity constraints. Now in the next week lab you will implement all these constraints in your lab session. तभी मैंने ये अभी आपको कंप्लीट करा दिया है, क्योंकि नेक्स्ट वीक की जो लैब है ना उसमें आपने ये सारे इंटेग्रिटी कॉन्स्टेंट्स ही लगाने हैं. Now next thing that we were discussing in last lecture was how to design this database. For that we have discussed one technique is the entity relationship model, that is ER model, and we have discussed that is what is an entity and what is a relationship. So I think the meaning of entity and relationship is clear to you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, who will explain what is an entity and what is a relationship? Yes. What is the difference between an entity and a relationship?
Ma'am, entity we can say as object, and relationship that the relation that exists between these objects.
Yeah, you can say entity is a particular type of any real world object, and relationship, you can say any relation that exists between two different type of entities, any association between two different type of entities. For example, we have discussed that in last lecture, then that is one entity is the student entity and one is the instructor entity. So in a particular university there can be many instructors, and in a university there can be a number of students. So which instructor is an advisor of which student? So if you have which instructor is associated with which student, then that means there is a relationship between an instructor and a student, and the relationship is represented with the help of a diamond shape, and just you can say as here, and it is represented with the help a diamond, as here it is in this particular case it is advisor. So diamonds represent relationship. Now in last lecture we have discussed this thing also, that is as entities have different attributes, similarly your relationship can also have different attributes. In this particular case we have date. What is date? Date means which instructor is associated with which student on which date. So then that means now a particular instructor can be associated with the number of students. So for each student the date of association can be different. So date of association will be an attribute of the relationship. So you can see here, that is this is the instructor, this is the student, and date is an attribute of this particular relationship, that is advisor. So next thing is that is role. Role means, as we have discussed in particular employee relationship in case of company database, similarly here if we say a relationship exists between the same entity. For example, if as I have said, dbms is your base for any database, and after that you will learn a number of other subjects, for example data mining, then you will learn big data, then you can learn data analytics. So to learn these subjects, that is data mining, big data, data analytics, you should learn first dbms. Then that means dbms is a prerequisite for the data mining, and data mining and dbms are the prerequisite for the big data. So then that means now all these courses belong to which entity? Course entity. But each course has a prerequisite, and prerequisite again belongs to the same type of entity. Then that means now a particular entity has different roles. So you can say entity set of a relationship need not be distinct. जैसे मैंने अभी आपको employee relation में बताया था कि एक particular employee is under the control of a head. Head is further an employee. Then that means now there is a relationship between an employee and an employee. So if there is a relationship between two entities and the entities belong to the same entity set, then that is called role. So you can say each occurrence of an entity set plays a role in the relationship. And to represent this thing, you can say a role, your entity set will be represented like this. You can see here course ID, then relationship, and then whatever the other attribute, you can write down that attribute here. Now next is degree of a relationship. We have discussed this thing in the last lecture also. That is, if the relationship is between two entity sets, then that relationship is called binary relationship. And if the relationship is between more than two entity sets. For example, the relationship can be a ternary relationship. Ternary relationship means, for example, you can say there are three type of entities: instructor, student, and project. Then that means each project has some its attributes: project number, project name, number of hours, etc. Then on this project, a student can work on this project, a particular faculty member can also work. Then that means now three different type of entities work on a particular project. So works on a relationship is now a ternary relationship. Then that means when a relationship is between more than two entities, so that relationship is called n-ary relationship. If number of entities are 3, then it is called ternary relationship. For example, you can see this one, right? This is ternary relationship. Yes, clear? What is binary relationship and what is ternary relationship?
Yes, ma'am.
Now next is, whenever you say you want to represent attributes for an entity, till now we have discussed that is an attribute should be a simple, that is non-atomic. But your attributes can be simple and composite, single valued and multi-valued, and derived attribute. So you can see here composite attribute. Composite attribute means the attribute is further having subparts. For example, name. Name of a particular person can be subdivided into three parts: first name, middle name, and last name. Similarly, address. Address can have further different parts, for example, street, city, state, postal code, and further street is street number, street name, apartment number. Such type of attributes are called composite attributes. So how to represent composite attributes in the ER diagram? You can see here name. Name is its attribute and it is further divided into three subparts. So whenever you want to represent complex attribute in the ER diagram, just by shifting or just by tabbing some space, then that means name now consists of these three subparts. Address will consist of these three parts with some, just you can say indentation. You will represent these different type of composite attributes. So now you can see here one phone number is there and one age is there. What is the meaning of this curly brace and what is the meaning of this round parenthesis? Curly brace means multi-valued attribute. Then that means if the attribute can have more than one value. I think some slides are missing here. Yeah. Phone number. Curly braces means multi-valued attribute. You can see here multi-valued attribute. Multi-valued attribute means if a particular attribute can have more than one value, then in ER diagram you represent that attribute within the curly brace. Now age. Age is just written with these round parentheses. What is the meaning of this? It is a derived attribute. Derived attribute. You can see here derived attribute. That is, it can be computed from other attributes. If in your database you have date of birth, then you can calculate age. Yes. If date of birth is given to you, then you can calculate age of a particular person or not?
Yes, ma'am.
So that is why age is called derived attribute. So whenever you have to mention derived attribute, that derived attribute can be written with the help of this round parenthesis. Now this is all about your attributes. Now next is mapping cardinality constraints. Now see what are these cardinality constraints. You can see here there are basically four type of cardinality constraints, that is one to one to many to one, many to many. I think in case of functions, in case of mathematics, you have done all these things, one to many to one, and many to many. Do you have any idea about one to many?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Please explain. Yes. Who will explain one meaning of one to one and one to many?
Ma'am, in one to one element of a particular set maps to a one element in another set.
Yeah, right.
And in one to many, one element of a particular set maps to two or more elements of another set.
In many to many elements of one set belong to many other elements of the other set, right?
Yes. Yes.
Now you can see here, if we say particular this example, see if each instructor can just be advisor of one student and a student can be under only one instructor, then that means this relation is one to one relation, right? You
Yes,
can
ma'am.
see here a student is associated with at most one instructor and a student is associated with at most one department via the student department. Or you can say, in this case, whenever you want to represent one to one, then this relationship is represented with the help of these arrows. If at the both side arrow is there, then that means this relationship is one to one. So you can see cardinality constants are represented by drawing either a directed line or an undirected line signifying many. If a directed line is there, then that means one. If undirected line is there, then that means it means many. For example, you can see here at this side arrow is there, that is direction is there, then that means this is one and this is many. What is the meaning of this?
One to many.
An instructor is associated with several students, but a student is associated with one instructor, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Similarly, you can see here what is the meaning of this? This is M, this is 1. What is the meaning of this? An
Many instructors are
instructor
advisor
is
of one.
associated with at most one student and a student is associated with several instructors, right? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Now you can see the next one. It is many to many relationship. Then that means instructor is associated with several students and a student is associated with several instructors, right?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Now next is why I am explaining all these things. I just want to show again that ER diagram to you. Now see this particular ER diagram. In this ER diagram, you can see many things. That is these arrows. You are seeing this arrow? Then that means this is one relation. If this is there, then that means it is many. At this side, it is one. If you say this one, this is many. If you say this one, this is one relation. Here it is again many. Here it is again many. Here you can say it is one relation. But there are some other notations also. At some places you will see these double lines. Are you seeing these double lines?
Yes, ma'am.
So what is the meaning of these double lines? So you can see here, for this you should understand the meaning of total participation and partial participation. So total participation, you can see here, total participation is indicated by this double line. This total participation is indicated by double line. What is the meaning of total participation? Every entity in the entity set participates in at least one relationship in the relationship set. What is the meaning of this? That is, if a student is there, then at least one faculty member should be advisor of this student. So then that means every student should participate in this relationship. But at this side, you are seeing that is, here single line is there, then that means it is a partial participation. What is the meaning of this? That is, there can be some faculty members who are not associated with any of the student. There are some faculty members who are not advising to any student, not even a single student. There can be some faculty members like this. So then that means this instructor relation is partially participating in this relationship. This instructor entity is partially participating in this advisory relationship, but the student is participating totally in this relationship. So total participation is indicated by the double line and partial participation is indicated by a single line. Some entities may not participate in any relationship in the relationship set. Participation of instructor in advisor is partial. Yes, clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So you can see now in this particular diagram. Now you can see here this one. Then that means instructor section. Every section should be taught by some instructor, but there can be some instructors who are not teaching to any section. Similarly, you can see here some diamonds are there which are represented with the help of double diamond. Some entities are there which are represented with the help of these double rectangles. So what is the meaning of these double diamond and double rectangles? For that we will have to discuss this, the concept of weak entity set, that we will discuss in the next lecture. Right? So the concept of weak entity set and identifying relationship, that we will discuss in the next lecture. Yes, any doubt till now? Yes, students, any doubt?
No, ma'am.
मैम आपने एक मल्टी वैल्यू सिंगल वैल्यू पढ़ाया था ना?
यस, हाँ बोलो रचे।
मैम उस मल्टी वैल्यू में मींस एक्चुअली मीनिंग क्या है? जैसे आप कह रहे थे कि उसकी मल्टीपल वैल्यू हो सकती है, मींस एग्जांपल।
जैसे फोन नंबर है आपके पास, एक से ज्यादा फोन नंबर नहीं हो सकते,
तो मैम उसको स्टोर कैसे करेंगे? मींस
हाँ, स्टोर करने के लिए आप RDBMS में नहीं स्टोर करते। मल्टी वैल्यूड एट्रीब्यूट को स्टोर करने के लिए आपको एक अलग से फिर टेबल बनाना पड़ेगा। इससे जो नेक्स्ट टॉपिक है ना आपका, वो वही है कि आपने जब ER डायग्राम को रिलेशनल टेबल में कन्वर्ट करना है, क्योंकि जब आप एक्चुअल में डिजाइन करते हो ना, तो आप पहले ये ER डायग्राम बनाते हो। जब आप इस ER डायग्राम को टेबल्स में कन्वर्ट करते हो, तो मल्टी वैल्यूड एट्रीब्यूट के लिए आप अलग से एक टेबल बनाते हो। ठीक है?
ओके मैम।
जैसे आप यही कहो कि मैं आपको अभी फॉर द टाइमिंग एग्जांपल बता ही देती हूँ। जैसे फोन नंबर है, फोन नंबर अगर मल्टी वैल्यूड एट्रीब्यूट है तो आप स्टूडेंट टेबल में ही फोन नंबर नहीं स्टोर करवाओगे, आप एक अलग से टेबल बनाओगे, उसमें स्टूडेंट का रोल नंबर एंड जस्ट फोन नंबर। तो वहां पे अब जो रोल नंबर है वो प्राइमरी की नहीं एक्ट कर सकता, तो रोल नंबर के साथ आप काफी सारे फोन नंबर्स लिखोगे, रोल नंबर 1 का ये भी फोन नंबर है, रोल नंबर 1 का ये भी फोन नंबर है, रोल नंबर 1 का ये भी फोन नंबर है। तो वहां पे जो प्राइमरी की बनेगा वो रोल नंबर एंड फोन नंबर का कॉम्बिनेशन बनेगा। ठीक है,
ओके मैम।
मतलब जो मल्टी वैल्यूड एट्रीब्यूट का कंसेप्ट है ना वो ईआर डायग्राम में है, बट रिलेशनल मॉडल में मल्टी वैल्यूड एट्रीब्यूट का कंसेप्ट ही नहीं है, उसको हम के लिए अलग से ही एक टेबल बनाना पड़ेगा। यस, एनी अदर डाउट? नो?
नो मैम, नो मैम।
ओके, इफ नो डाउट इज देयर देन यू कैन लीव द क्लास। अच्छा, मेरे को एक क्विज का बता दो, एक्चुअली एक लेक्चर का वो रह गया, ये मेरे को था शायद आज कवर हो जाएगा, ये मैं स्लाइड्स जरूर अपलोड कर दूंगी आज आपको, बट ये जो स्लाइड्स ये वाली है जो मैंने पहले अपलोड की थी, इन दोनों को मिला के क्विज लेना है, तो मतलब आपका मंडे के लेक्चर में ये कवर हो जाएगा। तो क्विज बताओ कब लूं, ट्यूसडे को लूं या फिर उससे नेक्स्ट वीक में लूं, क्योंकि वेडनेसडे को तो फिर छुट्टी होगी ना रिपब्लिक डे की।
यस मैम।
उससे नेक्स्ट ले लीजिए।
यस मैम।
चलो ठीक है, फिर मैं मंडे के लेक्चर के बाद ही अनाउंस करूंगी, ठीक है?
ओके मैम।
ओके मैम।
ओके मैम।
ओके राज, यू कैन लीव।
थैंक यू मैम।
Thank you.